Whoop, it says we are live. Hello, everybody. We are live. Everybody meaning one. But in the future, there could be more. So, Trung, maybe you don't remember, maybe you do. But on this show, we're not formally introduce you nor introduce the show until we have at least 5 people in the chat. So feel free to talk. But if you introduce yourself, okay. I will admonish you. Just know that.
Okay.
So people are trickling. We got 3. Trung, you're not a big name draw, but you're enough.
Yeah, I'm one of the 3.
Well, now that you told me that, I have to count that off. So now we have to wait for 6 people.
Damn it, Trung.
You could be interacting with the typing square, trying to get people involved there.
Okay.
Typing square.
You're not very active on social media, Trung. Like a Twitter and Instagram or anything.
I don't really use anything. Well, I do have those. I just haven't.
Yeah, I kind of envy people like that sometimes because I don't know. It's cool to reach out to people, but after a while, it feels like
we have 5 people.
You have to at the very least. Trung, Teresa says hi in the chat. In case you're not watching.
Hi.
What was I going on about? I forget.
Not using technology.
Something. Yeah.
Something. Oh no. So not technology, but social media in specific. A lot of people listen to the show in specific. Do not listen to social media, and I like all of those people. But by God, is it a pain in the ass to get a hold of those people? Should I ever have to? They're probably not watching this because since they're not on social media, they're not getting the notifications for these shows. So I'm going to talk shit about them all day long. I'll always have. Here's the thing. What'll probably happen is the podcast listeners and the live show people probably won't overlap a whole lot, so I can talk shit about the other on the other show.
Kayla.
Hey, moderator Kayla in the room. We're back down to 2. Something happened.
Oh no.
I think it was Trung. He spoke up and scared everybody off. Trung, in Texas. What part of Texas? Nashville?
Oh yeah, totally.
You're in Nashville, Texas, C? If I remember correctly. Yeah. So this is all preamble stuff. This is green room talk. Okay, we're up to 5. So not to waste this again. Trung, buckle the fuck up because it's time to start the goddamn show.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
and welcome to the show. My name's Dave, and this is a hangout and chat with special guest Trung. Obviously, I could have built that up.
You could have just said the title. It's Hangout and Trung.
Hangout and Trung. Well, here's the thing, Trung, and before we even get started, I introduce you officially. Okay. I want everybody to know, and you especially, we've had a murderer's row of talent on this show. So you coming after paleontologists and rock stars, my hopes aren't high, is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is bring it. If you can bring it and perform to the level of a paleontologist or a rock star.
All right.
I think we'll have a show, but if not, a lot of people's Monday nights will be ruined.
Wow, that's a tall order.
I know for sure my Monday night was ruined. The Flamingo is dead. As you can see, RIP Flamingo, we are out of batteries. So that was low blow number 1. Low blow number 2 was Trung still living in a truck stop bathroom. But let's introduce Trung finally. Obviously, from the show, and maybe personally, Trung's back on the show. Hey, Trung.
Hello.
Oh. Try that one more time.
What?
Do it again. You cut out.
You cut out. Do it again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Aww.
Do it. One more.
Hello.
There we go. That's a classic for you. So, guys, obviously, this is not the show we had planned for you tonight, but due to emergent circumstances, we are left with a runner-up Shroom. No, not a runner-up. This is Shroom's first time on the show, and he was going to have to come here anyway, so it was just sooner rather than later. But
isn't it his first time?
No, on the YouTube, because he was on Facebook. This is the first time on the YouTube series.
There you go.
So here's how the show's gone so far, Shroom. What we have done is our first season, if you will, our first 3 pilot episodes were on Facebook. You can catch those if you want. They're for hardcore fans only. We're still working the kinks out. So now we are in the renaissance, if you will, the growth that where we're getting into our own. I finally figured out what to name the show. Too bad I figured it out after this run. So come season 3, that'll be our high point, our zenith. Everything after that will slowly degrade, I guarantee. Because that's how every show goes. It hits its like zenith right at peak, like season 3. And then we'll see what happens. My hopes are not high, but Trung, let me run this name by you.
All right.
So more often than not, what happens, what ends this show is either my personal battery runs out because I run out of coffee or the camera dies, in which case we have to end quicker rather than, meandering. So until my battery dies is going to be the next version of this show. What do you, Clever?
Sure.
Thank you, Shroom. This is why when I'm rich, you know who my first yes man is going to be? It's going to be Trung.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you give him, he will always tell you the truth. And it may not be great and it may not be fast, but it will be the truth.
Except for when you play One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Except for when you have to play games of subterfuge. Then he will fuck you over. Do not get in a room with this guy, guys. He will wreck your shit. I imagine if people did listen and watch all of the things I put out, everyone would be constantly mad at me because I talk shit about everybody everywhere on every platform. And the fact that nobody calls me on it means they're either not listening or they like the abuse.
People are better at taking it than others.
Yeah, it's all like stuff like Randy's oral hygiene and stuff, but it's always. But Trung, obviously a trooper. But one thing that he did not figure would happen, and I had to explain to him so he wasn't caught totally off guard, is obviously the FFOP 5. Trung, you're familiar?
So confused.
Yeah,
I'm so confused about what's going on with that. But
I like to be abused, says Pete. All right, well, so here, Trung, since I have to introduce everybody to this concept every show, we better not break that tradition. So what's going to happen to him is I formulated a personality test, a psychological test, if you will. I call the FFOP 5. These are the 5 questions I need to ask everybody to assess them on a deeply personal level.
Jeez.
Upon which we will, base the rest of our interactions together. So this will essentially dictate how I address you from now on. And I reserve the right to start addressing people as hostile. It hasn't happened yet, but my hopes are high with you. Also, guys, if you're wondering what's different, so I got my gator cloth here. Obviously, got the logo on it. You can see that was pretty cool. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm gonna plug gator cloths really quick, like instead of masks with ear holes or like straps or whatever. This you can pull it up and down. It doesn't fall off. Like since it's a thing. Like, you don't have to buy like our logo branded one, but like if you come across a gator cloth, I put it off for the longest time because everybody's seen it on the Instagram feeds and all your fucking Twitter where it's like buy 4 and get the 5th one free, or buy 1 and get 5 free, or buy 20 and we'll send you 80. and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then you get one and you're like, oh, okay, they're actually pretty good. I still don't want them so cheap that I'm buying 5 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
This one, not to brag, not to plug our own stuff. Very comfortable. I wear it all day. Breathes, and it's a lot less sweaty. Like especially now with the beard, I'm looking to cut down on sweating and shit. And this breathes better. So I'm gonna say if you're pro masks still out there, and I hope you are, get a gator cloth or something like this because it cuts down on the crap. You can wear it all the time, fall off. Whew. So Trung, are you ready to be psychologically profiled?
do it.
All right.
Kayla says, "Ew, beard sweat."
Seriously. The worst part about beard sweat is your mustache sweat, actually, because everything else just sort of falls by the wayside. Your mustache sweat will either run down the sides and down your chin, or it collects in your, what do they call it? Nasolabial trough, and just funnels into your mouth. So I'm constantly drinking my own sweat.
Ugh.
But it's good. You're recycling electrolytes. And in this day and age, resources being slim, I'll recycle a little. I got no choice. Trung, question number 1. What is something that you are into that most people aren't? Now, what I mean by that is I want something that you're into that I wouldn't have to go like, no shit. I know you're into physics. I know you're into Rocket League. What's something that you're into that is maybe against type, or something you know a lot about that you maybe don't express as much?
I mean, that's hard. That's hard.
I mean, it could be something vintage. It doesn't have to be something right now. Like, you can say, well, back in the day, I was into blah, 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 but no one else could connect or whatever. I just want something like that. Trung, this is a live...
I am the worst at these things, because whenever these things comes up, I just draw blanks.
Here.
And
Trung, think about it for a second while I read this ad. Hey guys, you like this coffee mug that I'm drinking out of? I got this out of our FFOP store. Don't buy it though. I want you to go there and buy the Popeye stuff. Go buy the Be Like Popeye merch. Was that enough time, Trung?
No, because I feel like everything I'm into, you already know, like,
right, so there's nothing, there's no hidden crevice of your personality left unfolded. There's like, let's say we're animals.
They are, but like, are there things that I'm comfortable sharing? No. So
this is time to get deep, Trung. We only have 7 people watching. I want you to tell me the deepest, darkest thing you've ever
Tell us your deepest dark secrets.
Yeah. How many people have you snuck away into the night and done away with by throwing them off a bridge into an alligator's mouth?
Maybe 2.
I mean, in my mind, I pictured at least 3 or more, so 2 is an acceptable number.
Well, yeah, it's hard to come by.
Okay, so let me ask you this then, Trung. Since you're such a pain in the ass, is there like a specific like animal you know a whole bunch about, or a type of food you know, or a locale, or is there something you know a lot about that you really shouldn't, but you do because of some circumstance?
Oh my god.
There's nothing.
Oh no, I'm totally gonna say no here.
Are you still learning French?
Oh. True.
Yeah, well, I was, and now I'm not anymore. But
so no.
Yeah.
That's the one thing everybody knows about Trung is his indecisiveness. Here's the thing I know about you, Trung. You are a staple of 2 things to me. You are Rocket League first, and physics, and the third. Well, actually, okay, I take that back. 3 things. So it's Rocket League, physics, and the third thing is fill in the blank, because it's always something zany and it's always something fucking new. So when you were here, you slotted that third thing into photography. You moved away and it disappeared. When you went to college, I'm sure you found some others. There was the Raspberry Pi thing for a while. You've had things that you slot in and out of that 3 spot. So you're telling me that there is nothing in that spot right now?
Yeah, because I don't have time right now. I am sleep deprived every night.
I'm gonna sneak into your apartment. And I'm gonna hit you over the head with a blackjack and knock you out while you're asleep, and then I'll leave, and you'll never know I was there.
Yep.
Okay. I'll take it, I guess.
That was your answer, Trung. That statement I just made is your answer here. I gotta tell you,
it's not going well.
This is possibly the worst that this has ever gone.
Kayla says Dave's traveling to Nashville, Texas.
I'm buying a Greyhound bus ticket to Nashville, Texas. I say, we're heading to Nashville. I gotta blackjack me some Trung while he's asleep. But seriously, Trung, we've had some dicey moments. I'm not gonna lie. The first one probably never gonna be beaten. PJ came. He did a nosedive and did a climactic pull-up.
Mhm.
You blew up on the runway.
He didn't even make it to the runway.
You're that firecracker that blows off the hillbilly's thumb because the fuse is just like whoop bam, and it's just like, well, so now we've got to travel the rest of the show, Trung, with no thumb.
Oh.
Okay, well.
And given one of these questions later, that is very apropos. All right, Trung. Like, okay, seriously, this is bad. Here's your second question.
Keep going and see how bad it can get.
Kayla says Trung's hidden secret talent is annoying David.
That's not a secret. If that's a secret, then Orville Redenbacher pops a mysterious seed that no one's ever seen before. Number 2, Trung. Give me a band that you can listen to exclusively for the rest of your life, starting today.
Jesus Christ. I think I would go with Churches.
Really?
Have you heard it? Yeah. I really liked it.
So how many albums do they have right now? Probably just one? Maybe 2?
Yeah. Probably like 2 or something. I don't really listen to the album. Oh, shit. Now that you said that, I think I know more about Codaline.
Codaline?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is that?
I think it's like an Irish band. They sing a little bit like indie.
Codaline? Is that, how do you spell that?
Kodaline.
Okay. So, all right.
E.
I'll have to look that up later. So
yeah.
Here's the thing, Trung. I always recommend, but since you answered, when people stall, I usually recommend pick someone with a large catalog or someone still active so you'll have something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I were, I don't know, like if I didn't have somebody still active in my life today that I enjoyed, I would pick one of those bands who was huge, like that maybe one of those bands that like blew up in the 60s and had a prog rock career all the way through the 90s, like Yes or something, because there's so much there.
Mm-hmm.
But Codaline,
yeah, their music are fantastic.
This may be the first time since this interview is going so bad, Trung. I'm actually going to look up this band, and if this in any way redeems this interview, my hopes aren't high, but what I'm going to do is write down Codaline. So that you better hope to God that I really like them later. All right, Trung, number 3. Question number 3, and this one gets a lot of people. I would say half of the people I ask who answer this question get it wrong. So, you got to lose a limb. One of the 4, I don't care which. It's got to go now. Pick one.
Mm.
That's 1 out of 4, Trung. And there's
I know.
One right
I'm trying to think.
Looking at each appendage right now.
Put the mirror away. I need an answer right now.
I'm trying to think of the pros and cons. I say left arm.
Oh, God. Trung.
What?
Why? An arm over a leg. You have a leg that is essentially just one joint.
Well, yeah, but then it's probably more important to your survival because having one leg is pretty useless.
How many people? Okay, maybe I won't even say how many people. How many times have you had to make a daring escape from a large saber-toothed cat?
Oh, none. But then...
How many times have you been cornered by a feral bull moose and had to spryly...
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's a lot harder to navigate.
Okay, how about this? Someone says, hey, think fast, and they throw a grapefruit at you. Would you rather have that second hand to stop that grapefruit just in case so it doesn't mash you in the face?
I would just use my legs to run away from it.
Why would... Trung, no, you're not, no.
My mom says, damn it, Trung.
Yeah, damn it, Trung. Like, so you're saying, like, hey, I'm going to give up Rocket League? Like, no more video games, Trung?
I don't really give a shit. Like, it's
bullshit.
Something to fill my...
Oh, my God, Trung.
I'm not passionate about Rocket League. That's the thing.
You are
I'm just playing it because I'm fucking... I need something to do.
Yeah, well, guess what? One arm, you will not have that thing to do anymore. You're practically a scientist. People could consider you a scientist, and yet, Trung, with all that higher education and all that scientific data, you choose an arm over arms and hands.
Nothing, Trung.
David, just my train of thought was different. Okay.
Yeah, it was wrong. Listen, the typing square, I don't know if you're watching this, but they're very upset with you also. All right, Trung. Question number 4. This is a big one. This one, you got 2 chances left, and both of these are ripe for a Hail Mary. So if you could test drive an animal's body for like a long weekend, let's say you get 3 days in an animal body, they'll pop your brain in there, you get to hang out, do whatever you want in the animal body and come back. What animal is it? This is a live show.
I know. I'm looking into the distance thinking.
Yeah, well, we don't do that here. I need you to talk me through your process at least. I'm sure
it's something that can fly. I think that's
okay. So we've narrowed it down to one of the 5 major subclasses of animal.
Okay.
A bird. So stemming from that, are we a dangerous bird? Are we a bird of prey? Are we a fancy bird? Are we a peacock? Are we a hummingbird?
I think hummingbird is pretty cool. I was going to say eagle at first,
okay.
But then I thought again, and hummingbird is like a really cool animal to test drive.
All right, so as a hummingbird, are you going to now for big animals and stuff? I always offer this, but since we have a multitude of possibilities here, would you like to be a hummingbird in one of those like aviaries? So do you want, like, what I'm getting at is, do you want a nice, calm, placid 3 days where you're roaming around, seeing other hummingbirds, drinking that delicious orange and red nectar, or are you going to want to try and rough it for 3 days where you're having to deal with cats and other predators? Are you going to
okay. While I'm in that bird body, if I die in that bird body, will I die for real?
No, you just, like, your consciousness gets zapped back to your body. So the only thing that you lose, I guess, is time off of your vacation.
Yeah, I think I'll take the wilderness.
Okay. All right. Now, Trung, another important question. You're not a predatory animal, but every animal's got a wiener. Are you going to test drive some of those ladybirds while you're out there for those 3 days, huh?
Maybe. I think that's the natural thing to do, right?
Here's the thing. If you're going to, I always say, it's not weird because you'll be in their body. It's not like you're a person wishing to have been born a different animal. But I say anybody, another human body, another animal body, another anybody. Let's say you're a plant. Experience it to the max. Whatever it can do, I say do it. Because it's like when you rent a car, you're never going to see that 1993 Geo Prism again. So you live it up for those 72 hours.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty cool.
So
you have to do it.
So why hummingbird, Trung? Unpack that for me. What about a hummingbird would you like to?
I think. Well, okay. So it's not like I would like to do much. First of all, fly, but that's common for all types of birds, all types of flying animals. But then also, like, the hummingbird has like a really weird physiology where they are basically the only animal that can fly that is like hovering still in the air.
Yeah, they're like the bees of the bird world.
Yeah. And I thought that's pretty cool.
All right. Listen, there are not a lot of people who pick a correct, most people don't even get in the ballpark of their correct spirit animal, but I think you landing on hummingbird is pretty close. I'll say pretty close. I'm not sure how often hummingbirds nap, so we'll have to look into it, but I think a hummingbird is a good fit for you. If there was like some sort of Island of Dr. Moreau type creature where we could get like a 3-toed sloth and a hummingbird together, where you were like able to go when everything was fine, but if you got in the back seat of a car, you would just zonk out.
Like super quick.
Matter of 30 seconds. All right, Trung. All right, hummingbird. I like that because not everybody needs to be a predator or a giant animal. There's something to be said for the small. Now, this is a very important question, Trung, because you are essentially the progenitor of this saga.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love Steven Seagal? On a scale?
Well, okay. So which end of the scale would you be disappointed?
If you don't know by now, if you do not know me by now, Trung, I cannot help you, and I refuse to help you. I need to know. You were the one who was like, "Have you watched the Steven Seagal movie? I'm going to buy one and then ditch it on you." It was, I'm sure. Here's a quick metaphor. I'm sure in every drug addict's life, after they get clean and they go through all the rehab and the relapses and they fight and they struggle and they build the bridges back with their family, I'm sure they look back at the first person who offered like, hey, this one's free, and they go, I hate that motherfucker. That man is Trung. Trung was like, oh, the first one's free, and he gave me the first it's literally on the shelf behind me, The Foreigner. First Seagal DVD, and here we are. Now, if this were heroin, I would be dead in an alley. Just like veins all collapsed.
Yeah, okay, so pertaining to his movies, I still really like them.
So
it's shitty, but in his movies, great. Like probably 8 out of 10. Him as a person, 2.
That Trung, you know what? That was those were both the right answers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are both right answers because what I want is extremes. I would say his movies personally are a 9.5, but I would say also him as a person is a 2. So yes, Trung, this started out as maybe the worst interview ever and ended as the worst interview ever with potential to be usurped eventually. So you went from being plummeted to the Earth's core to, maybe someday man will find the technology to go deeper. So, so I get silver lining, Trung. 2 right answers for one question almost makes up for all the other wrong answers you gave me. And
okay, I'm satisfied with myself.
I don't know what I was expecting, but I should have expected less, I suppose. The Godfather of Seagal wouldn't let me down on that question, but I gotta tell you, that first non-answer, I was tempted. True, not only stopping this particular episode, but purging FFOP from the internet. I was going to not only delete all the files, but I was going to travel to the hometowns of where these servers were and burn those to the ground too. That's how bad this was going. But you saved it. Luckily.
Just barely, yeah.
Just barely, and you're lucky too. So let's check in with the typing square.
Everybody's clapping for Trung.
Everybody's clapping for Trung. He made it somehow. Not a particularly okay. So you know that everybody's seen that stock footage of that plane that's like trying to land, but it falls and crashes and blows up, and there's fire everywhere. And you're like, oh my god, what a terrible crash! This is that interview. It's a terrible crash, but there have been worse things. Mm-hmm. So we can always look to the future, Trung. You can come on again and blow this one out of the water. Out of the water. Sorry, I've been hanging out with Connecticut people too much.
Shut up.
Blow this motherfucker out of the water. So, Trung, Texas, what is that like? A lot of cows?
No, I don't see anything here. It's just apartments after apartment. It's like a college town.
Well, then don't say you don't see anything. You must see something.
Well, yeah, I see something, but like I don't see cows. I don't see like.
What about birds?
Farms.
See any
birds? Some of them.
You see anybody You have Topless Tuesdays down there?
No, actually, I don't. I usually don't go out on Tuesday, so I don't really know because I just go from my apartment to campus. And
True. When you're in college, always do this thing. If you do nothing else, do this thing. Go out on days that rhyme. Go out on Taco Tuesday. Go out on Topless Tuesday. Go out on Thirsty Thursdays. Go out on everything that has alliteration.
Flamingo
go do
Friday.
Flamingo Friday, goddammit. Hashtag RIP Flamingo. Whatever I said before. Hashtag RIP. Maybe we need a name for him. Maybe this can be Trung 2. Would you like that, Trung? Name some. I got the Dirty Randy Studios. Within is Trung 2, the dead flamingo.
With Gay Jesus.
Gay Jesus is off camera.
Yeah.
I'll take the naming after myself. Right?
All right. I'll get a label maker and people will know.
We have one.
We've got so many. Like, I feel like, since there's no real rhyme or reason for the show, let's just bullshit. I feel like there's so many weird and strange references to this show and us. Like, if you wanted to, like, whatever, if we had fans, you could probably look back there and be like, oh, I remember that from this. Because there's a lot of it back here, guys. Not to mention, one of the people I don't shout out enough, Jason Forrest of the Milk Bar.
Woo!
I saw today 587 episodes of the Milk Bar.
Wow.
We did 300 and something. 500? Oh, I don't know.
He pumps them out though, like.
That's true.
Quick.
I wonder, Trung, let's place our bets now. How many episodes do you think that the second incarnation of the show will go? Let's just say the podcast, because the live show will do whatever. Maybe it'll die sooner than that. But I think the podcast is my first and only love. How long do you think it will last this time? We went almost 10 years last time.
What is the frequency that you're doing it? Like 2 weeks?
We're doing an OG. We're doing a show with the boys, Andy and Adam, every 2 weeks, and then I have a special guest on to fill in the gaps.
Oh,
if you will.
okay.
So basically, it's weekly plus, whatever I pump out on YouTube here. But that's the thing. I feel obligated because I started that Patreon. I know I keep bringing it up, but until I am comfortable with it, I'm going to have to keep expressing how uncomfortable I am with it, because people are giving me money and I'm like, ugh, and I need to, produce, which is fine. I mean, it's definitely better that it's there than it's not, because if I bet. But that's another thing. Like, there are so many variables here. You're going to have to run some sort of supercomputer equation on this, Trung, because there's a lot of variables here. We got the pandemic that blew up. Everybody's pushed inside, which is like a huge factor, obviously, in bringing back this show. And let me ask you this. I'm asking everybody. I'm sure people are tired of hearing this fucking question, but now that we're all forced to be inside, are you taking the time to discover things that you would not have? Like, are you looking into more independent art? Are you looking into more independent music? Or are you just, with what little free time you have, sticking to the big budget, professionally produced Netflix, like, movies and stuff?
I'm mostly just sticking to, like, the usual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I may be watching more Netflix than I usually did, which means then I discover more shows. But no, I don't really go out of my way to find anything new and obscure.
I think I love saying, because it's always true, there are two types of people. And in this case, we have people who are too busy during the quarantine to take in anything new, because there are industries that have either picked up and or stayed the same, or they're on the other side of the spectrum. There are people who are out there grabbing all the new and interesting weird shit they can because of all the free time as a consequence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
Because I know when I have a lot of time, I will binge on a lot of stuff that I never would have. For instance, right before this show started taking off again, I was starting to fall down this YouTube hole of video essays, which is weird. But
is it just somebody reading an essay?
Not even necessarily reading. So, like, the whole thing about video essays is like I used to buy collections of essays from people like the How to Eat a Dinosaur or whatever. Like I can't remember his name right now, but he writes basically essays or short fiction or whatever, like basically letters to the editor or whatever, factual pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that, but it's somewhere between like a 10 and hour and 45-minute video about a subject that is just like discussed critically, not necessarily with any humor, not necessarily with a particularly biased take. It's just a breakdown from start to finish of a thing. And if you're into extremely boring shit like yours truly, just having a teenager explain a show that came out 20 years before they were born, I find that compelling as shit.
Kayla says, wait a second. How do you eat a dinosaur?
That's the thing, Kayla. It was a because that's the thing. The reason I picked up that book and then later learned to love him after the betrayal was there was a picture of a triceratops on the cover that said How to Eat a Dinosaur. And I thought, oh, I don't need to know anymore. I've got the cover, and I bought it, and it was a fucking collection of essays. Still good, though. I'll recommend it. Don't remember the dude's name. God damn it. Starts with a K. Doesn't matter. So I guess at the end of all that, Trung, I guess,
Yeah.
I get it. I just think that when there's I don't know how to put this. When you have more idle time, you're more apt to try and fill it productively. And that's not even saying like I don't even know what I'm getting at here. What am I trying to say here, Trung? So when you don't I think that nope, I got nothing. I totally lost the thread. I've got so many things swirling around in my head that I want to say, but I don't think any of them relate right now. It's late, Trung.
Yeah, it's later where I am, but yes, it's
late. I mean, we've been up the same amount of time, I'm sure. But yeah, that's the thing. I think that I guess bringing this all home in some sort of weird cohesive package is like now that there's a lot more free time, there's a lot more people like flexing their muscles creatively, and those who don't want to create are looking for more niche things. Because I'm kind of tired of like I feel like I have a faster fatigue critical mass than most people because I got fed up with zombies way before everybody else did. I got Marvel Cinematic Universe fatigue way before everybody else did. And it's just like these waves, I'm standing maybe out 20 feet off the sand on the beach. So all these waves hit me first and I'm like, you'll get it. And I'm calling out behind me. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, zombies are lame. And I'm like, yep, 2 weeks ago I said that. It's just my metabolism. I burn through everything super fast. My media, my booze. I can't stay drunk long enough anymore, Trung.
He gets a hangover before he finishes getting drunk.
It's rough.
Oh.
Are you doing any partying, Trung? Doing any college partying?
No, I'm not stupid.
Thank God. Listen, as cool as it would be for you to like do a body shot off a cheerleader, it would be a terrible last thing to have happened to you before you slip into a coma and die.
Right.
Yeah.
But hey, Scarf and Pube Face will be at your funeral being like, woo, whipping their shit around.
Now, if COVID wasn't a thing, would you be out partying?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think there would be Trung level partying. You would get invited places and then you would maybe get drunk quietly in a corner. But I don't, you're not one of these guys who, like, if this were a wacky 80s comedy, like, you wouldn't be the reserved Asian kid who goes to his first party and ends up with like underwear on his head or like helicoptering somebody on the roof.
I know a kid like that. In Rochester.
Yeah, those happen, but I don't peg you as that.
No, I'm not. I went to my first frat party like the first year that I came to Rochester. I hated it.
You're too sleepy.
Trung too sleepy.
Trung is the body of a mantis that is inhabited by the soul of a panda. Two Asian animals, Trung. I kept it in the family for you. Very kung fu. But that's the thing with Trung is like you think by looking at him, you think, this guy, he's wiry and he's quick, but he really is more like a guy who's like if Trung looked how he acted, he would be a 400-pound dude. But you're that weird dichotomy of like this live mantis body, but then when you get into a chair, you fall asleep immediately, like you've been eating bamboo for 18 hours straight. But
do you still fall asleep real fast like that in a chair?
He's already asleep.
Couch?
No, not. Yeah, I've been sleeping this whole time. No, I still sleep pretty fast, but I do need sleep these days.
I envy. Listen, there are people out there. There are two types of people, Trung. There are the type of people who can like make the decision to go to sleep and do. And then there are the people who make the decision to go to sleep and are literally at the whim of whatever just happened right before their head hit the pillow.
Mm-hmm.
And I am jealous of every last one of you motherfuckers. Like, I've known people who can, like, if you prop them up in the corner, cross their arms and legs, and like, you can put them in a corner like a broom and they will sleep that way. Me, I've got to have my body in the exact right fucked up Tetris piece that it needs to be, with the pillow just so, with the 72-degree air hitting my face before my body will even think about calming the fuck down. So all you fuckers out there, Trung, don't say no, because I can't tell you how many times like,
before I came to the state, I was exactly like that.
What happened?
I don't know.
Was it crossing the international date line?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it's just cooler to sleep here because my parents never let me like turn on the AC and it's always like 85 degrees outside.
Maybe. Here's another thing I think that people have. I think everybody's got a perfect sleep temperature, and there might be two. I think that everybody's got a perfect sleep temperature on either side of the equator, because at home, if I'm at home and in bed, I need to be cold, bam, and I'm out. But I've been on jobs where, I'll be up in a mezzanine somewhere, it's 118 degrees, and I was wearing a hard hat and vest, still can conk out for 20 minutes, no problem.
Well, heat drains you and makes you tired.
Right, but I think you have to get to that. There's a tipping point where, like, when at room temperature, you're like, can't sleep. You get cold enough where you're like, ooh, chilly, sleep. And with heat, it's like uncomfortable, sweaty. And there's a lot more room to fuck up there.
Yeah.
But you get to that certain, whatever that marker is in your brain where it's like, fuck it, it's not going to get better. Time to just zonk. And I think
have to have a sheet and a blanket.
It's like a tiny microcosm of like dying, like in a fire. Like I'm sure at some point as you're burning to death, your body's just like nuts to it and zonks out. And the same thing with cold. But it's two very different things, because you're like getting hotter and hotter, and finally you're just like, So
Kayla says there are two types of people: those who can finish a thought, those who
there definitely are. I'm definitely in the latter.
Apparently Aunt Linda can fall asleep anywhere,
which
we've seen.
I've seen it. That's the thing. That's the problem, Kayla. With all these meandering shows where there's literally no rhyme, reason, or purpose, we're just here hanging out, talking about shit. This is basically, I have to. Here's another tangent. I have to literally apologize to my boss every day, because I walk into her office with a question. 20 minutes later, I walk out having told her some story or another, and not remembering why I walked in the first place. So, and I don't know how to. Maybe typing square. Give me some hints, because I keep pen and paper nearby.
Yeah, just hand her a piece of paper.
I always think, aha, I've got an idea. Deet, write it down. But here's the problem: is I'm having ideas in the middle of other ideas. So there's the problem.
The classic idea and an idea.
We jumped from A to B to C to D so quickly that the roadmap is officially lost. If this were a summer vacation, we would be in a swamp on our way to Disney World, completely lost. Kids would have malaria.
Great.
So what else is new, Trung? Yeah, it's been a hot minute since we spoke. So now, are you teaching kids? Like, you have student? I shouldn't say kids, but do you have students? Like, are you teaching people, or are you still in that like no man's land phase?
What do you mean no man's land phase?
Well, like so if you're a student teacher, are you getting up in front of people and teaching, or are you just a pack mule, a lackey who's like grading tests and doing other shit?
Yeah, basically I'm grading, I'm tutoring, and holding office hour.
Yeah,
that's what they say. And then I'm not really teaching because I'm teaching a lab where most of the thing we're doing right now because of COVID is just letting students watch a video of people doing lab. So we just sit there and we're like, question, and then we wait for an hour, just total silence on the Zoom call.
Listen, having experienced my first Zoom call today, I can see why people hate it. Because it is literally like the experience of going to a movie where everyone is making noise and chiming in and talking all in text. So it's like the interruptions, you have to force yourself to read the interruptions, and it's crazy. Like I get that something has to change, and quicker than what happened with cell phones. When cell phones came out, people were dicks and are still dicks for nostalgic reasons to this day. I feel like Zoom and online stuff, especially now that everybody's doing it, there should be a decorum where like, hey, rule number 1, if the thing you're going to say affects literally nothing in the chat, don't put it there. Like, let's say you're in a classroom setting or like work setting or whatever. There's always people like just giving, what's the word? Offering information that doesn't need be offered, and also not even important if it were to be offered.
Was it at least like somehow related to what was being talked about?
Yeah. Negative.
Is it a troll?
No. And then it's, I think maybe that's the thing. Like, since everybody, here's another thing I don't get also. Like, if you show up to a place and like, let's say you got to do something for work. There's a lot of people Zooming for work now. Then they say, whatever, you're going to be listening, so leave your mic off. Number 1, people always forget that. Number 1. But number 2, like if I'm the one tuning in, I'm the only one who needs to see anything. I need to see the teacher and their presentation. I'm not turning on my camera. I'm not turning on my camera to show everybody what I am dressed in or not. And like, oh my gosh, it's like, if you could sum up the internet, like the early days of the internet, in one picture, it would be the point of view would be looking up an old man's nose who takes up like 1/6 of the bottom third of the frame as you see like a fan, like they got caught mid spin. So there's like a little bit of motion blur, and there's like maybe a hand reaching over to a button. That's the internet.
That's so funny that you say that.
In a nutshell.
The other day I saw this meme of like, divorced men over 55, like their Facebook profile picture looks like, and it's all far away looking up their nose or like
and now here's the thing. People will blame that phenomena on technology. They say, well, old people weren't taking pictures of themselves back in the day. Bullshit, motherfucker. Cameras existed. I've got cameras over there on my shelf dating back to the 20s. Don't tell me that you people as teenagers weren't holding Polaroids out in front of yourself, weren't holding Kodak Instamatics, you didn't have your little brownie or Hawkeye and going, cheese. Don't tell me that didn't happen. And it's only gotten easier because the thing on the, like, back in the day, you had to hope and pray. You'd go click, and the phone would come out, and you would say, fuck, that's just my shoulder, that's just my ear. Now, it could not be simpler. You've got instant feedback. You've got a screen on the thing in your hand taking your picture. Look at it. If you look like a creepy dude staring down into a coffee can that a bunch of shrunken people that, since you're a mad scientist, have been put, don't post that picture. if what you're posting looks like something that could be confused as you've been tied to a lab table and are now looking up at your captor, don't.
Yeah, no.
Picture taken from looking down at you, great. Looking up, never. Oh gosh.
No, but okay. Look, we can talk about boomers all we want, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
They're terrible at technology. But the thing that surprised me is that the kids are as terrible at technology as those old people.
I think it's a weird. So here's the thing, Trung, and you bring up an interesting an inference. So I think maybe there's a certain part of the population who are too old to adapt to technology, and so they can't. And there are people who are too new to the party who didn't see where it started and haven't seen the progression to understand the implementation of it fully. So maybe you, me, and a few other people are like right there in the sweet spot where we came up in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, where personal technology flourished. We got a grasp of it. So now all the kids being born will be like completely in the dark about its nuances. And all the people who were before are now slowly dying off, and we're seeing less and less pictures of nose hair. So we'll see what the future holds. The culture is going to be a strange thing, and I don't think we would have been able to say that if it weren't for what's going on. Because I think that, well, maybe not.
I don't know. There's a lot.
I think weird things happen to people at different times, because you could have been like alive during the moon landing, but if you weren't old enough to care, so it's like these weird generational gaps. So I think a lot of people are going to be like, it'll be a whole new. Here's what it's going to be: a whole new generation of the back in my day stories. So I get the back in my day pre-internet, and people coming of age today will get two back in my days. It'll be pre-COVID and then post-COVID. You say, well, back in my day, we didn't have to wear masks, and then we did, and then we didn't again, hopefully. Or back in my day, you could speak into the air and Alexa would order you a pizza or whatever. I don't know. I think it's going to, I'm interested to see what 20 years from now, those people will be saying back in my day for.
Okay.
Because I bet it'll also be super, since technology moves faster, I think maybe even year by year, the back in my day will change. Because like, let's say before, pre-internet, everybody's back in my day stories are pretty much the same. It was like, you had to walk everywhere, you had to use a telephone. Before that, it was writing. And so these big institutions stayed for a long time. And now it'll be like, well, back in my day, we had to call on a landline. Well, back in my day, we had flip phones. And back in my day, we had the first smartphones. And back in my day, we still had phones. And it's going to be like these stupid, like barely spread apart generational stories where like dudes 15 years apart will be like, yeah, I remember gas combustion engines. And like the very next dude in the line will be like, yeah, I remember hoverboards. Right. Obviously, we're not there yet, but I think it's moving fast enough that all of our old timers will be so confused.
Yeah.
Because like now, or like when I was working in the old folks home back in the day, they all had pretty much the same stories. Like, oh yeah, remember the Oldsmobiles, the Buicks, the this, the that. You remember the old Victrola? Like people, like I could in my old age be like, I had an iPod, and have a kid born 10 years after me, still same level of senility, same old folks home, be like, iPods, motherfucker, we had streaming digital media. And it'll be exactly the same, essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
But just different enough where it's going to be a complete old person generational gap. Like I fear for the people who take care of the elderly in the future. They're going to have to worry about so many more things to be annoyed about. Like when I worked at the old folks home, it was the very same things to be annoyed about, because culture was moving pretty slow. There was no internet. It was all the big names in movies and music or whatever. And now, as fractalized as culture is, could you imagine? Like I had to hear about Elvis and the Beatles. Imagine 20 years from now when old people are starting to go into those homes with these niche like Codaline. Imagine having an old person be like, back in my day, Codaline was a thing. You're going to be that guy. And so everybody's going to have their own little niche boutique brand of style and all complaining about very drastic experiences all in the same time frame. Being a human's fucked, dude. Imagine, like, dinosaurs, they didn't give a shit. You were born, you ate, and you died. And you got to be a giant monster. Humans get none of that, and also the most complicated experience, bar none, of being alive.
Well, yeah, because we have a brain.
Right. True.
Well, have a bigger brain.
Get proportionally. You're going to have to... Yeah. Right now, knowing what you know, would you give it all up, knowing that you could give it all up and you won't have a care in the world, and get popped into a dinosaur body? Or would you stay with all the stress and the trouble?
I think I stay.
You stay?
Yeah. I'm not a embracer of the simpler times.
I get for there's a lot of reasons that are compelling to people, and I want to hear Typing Square too. Typing Square, knowing what you know, and if you could, would you give up your faculties and lead a simpler life as a dinosaur? I'm saying dinosaur simply because it's the coolest thing to be. But if you want to be a megafauna like a Paraceratherium, or be Mastodon mammoth, you want to be a Glyptodon, I don't care. It's got to be extinct though. That's the only part of this experiment that you got to stick with. Because here's the thing. When you are burdened with the things that you know, and you are worried about the things you know you don't know, I think having the pressure of just the stress, like when you're an animal, your stress is cut and dry. Your stresses are, I got to find food, I got to make sure I don't get eaten. Or if you're one of the things that does the eating, you're basically like, when am I going to eat next? And that's all. When you go beyond that and you have to start thinking about personal entanglements and relationships and the workings of an automobile and the internet and all these other things that are just insane, I believe I would like to give it up. And also I'll give you the caveat of, like, let's say, it's a wonderful lifestyle and Clarence is going to be like, bing. So everyone will have lived their lives without, no one's going to be like, where's Trung? Where's Trung? He's a dinosaur. No one's going to be like that. You just get to, guilt-free pop back into a dinosaur body.
I don't know. Would you take it?
I would say this. I would say everybody, you get this offer. It expires at 55. Let's say that. So you get a decent amount of time as a human, and you've always got the choice to go before you are 55, because then that's too much. You can't take too much from column A and column B, because as a dinosaur, you're probably not going to live a super long life. So I say let's do 55 as a human, and then if you want to, at 55, you can take the divergent path of popping out of existence and being a dinosaur, or continuing on as this naked, shivering pink ape. So at 55, what are you doing, Trung? You've already lived your American life. You've lived your best life ever. Do you want to keep as a human and stress till you die over things that are imaginary, or do you want to be a dinosaur and stretch over legitimate dangers for the rest of your life, but maybe do a few cool things with some claws and some teeth, or tusks or tail or whatever?
I don't know. I like to see the world, and being a dinosaur, like, you can't travel outside of your bubble. So, like,
but you would be experiencing something that literally no living thing has for tens of millions of years, not hundreds, obviously, but let's say tens of millions. Let's keep it in like the Jurassic area. Let's say dozens of millions of years.
My mom would not want to be a dinosaur.
Yeah, like I don't think I would take it.
Opportunity.
Like, if I turn 55 and like we have technology that are better than now, then I would, instead of being a dinosaur, I would take a trip to Mars.
Listen, obviously, if technology catches up, we are, at holodeck. There are a lot of things that null and void this question, True. What I'm saying is, given the resources today, notwithstanding the future, they don't offer you a ticket to Mars. There's no holodeck. There's no Deanna Troi. Pete says he's already a dinosaur. I think everyone needs to be a little more adventurous, Trung. You've had 55 years as a human.
Yeah, but I don't think that's enough.
It's never gonna be enough.
Yeah, sure, but like that's just like I barely got a career, you know. Like that's when you start actually living.
Sometimes you gotta roll them bones though. Like you gotta live a little, and plus, it's just make believe, Trung. You're never gonna be a dinosaur. So if you pretended to be fun and said, "Yeah, I totally do it," you'd literally lose nothing. Nothing, True.
I take things seriously.
Do we have any? We've kept a pretty consistent number on viewers and in the typing square. Does the typing square have any questions? Like now, maybe we'll do an AMA, a short AMA. Trung's got to go to bed here pretty soon, so we'll do a 15-minute AMA. 15 minutes. You can ask me, Trung, or Krista anything. We are under no obligation to answer. Ha ha. But we'll try. Because what if it's a physics question that's aimed at me? That ain't happening. Like hypothetical shit, we can go over all day. But, and word of warning to the typing square, if you have a math question, don't go to Trung. Not good at math for some reason. Which you would think, the cornerstone of physics. You'd have that on lock. You know what else I like about this neck gaiter? The more I look at it, the more I wear it. It's like a scarf. I always like the idea of scarves. I like the idea of a scarf, but living in Arizona, I've never had the occasion to wear one. Mm-hmm. When I lived in Chicago, I got to wear one all the time. Another thing I like about this being as a scarf, it's like a neck, it's like a scarf neck sort of ornament.
Like a cowl.
But not hot. It's super breathable. And I like that. Maybe if I did live in a colder climate, I'd be a hipster because I got a beard and I want to wear a scarf and all this other shit. So maybe the only thing keeping me from being a hipster is the weather, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think I'm that annoying. What do you think, Trung?
I like it. I like how it looks.
I mean, but me about being a hipster. You're dodging the question.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
He already forgot the question.
I know. But guys, this is once again a call out to the typing square. This is an Ask Me Anything. We're keeping it super cash here tonight. The flamingo is burnt out. We have no trivia. Trung disaster. Like if let's say, if shows were boats, this show is the splinters of the boat that was blasted apart by the Spanish galleon that is now sinking to the bottom of the sea. But again, Trung, I want to reiterate, there is a possibility that someone may come along, raise that ship, and be like, yep, things have gotten worse since then. So do we have any questions in the typing square, Krista?
Kayla says, if the TMNT Turtles formed a barbershop quartet, which would sing the lead and why?
So this is an interesting question because we are breaking down the original quartet dynamic, because as a fighting group, I do believe that Leo possesses what it takes to be the best at what he does in terms of martial arts and fighting. However, when it comes down to singing, and I don't think barbershop quartet may be a little meh, but I think in the case of artistic endeavors, Mikey is taking the lead on that. Mikey is going to be writing the songs, doing the lyrics and getting everybody on board, because I don't see any other turtle having that sort of artistic expression and or capability. So I hope that answers your question, because it is correct. You can look it up. And do we have any other?
No, but Pete says he's been wearing those for a few weeks now.
Yeah, aren't they great, Pete? Like, and not to I'm again not trying to push any product. I'm not shilling anything. Buy whatever you want, do whatever you want. But I find that this is so much more convenient. Like having to go in and like put the mask on over my ears and everything, and like you have to get it just right. And it also doesn't breathe as well. This thing breathes and fits so easy around the neck. It looks,
does it fall down your face?
No, like you just sort of hike it up in the back and make it, cinch it up. Everybody wears theirs a little differently. I can't tell you how to wear yours, but the way I wear mine, I like it. And also with a collared shirt, it sort of gives you like that ask. Also with all the colors of the show, plus all the, the sort of eye catch. I'm one for peacocking, obviously. Sad. This is sad, people. This is a sad news report. What is sad is that peacocks got all the play as far as like birds of show, where flamingos get jack shit. Like for whatever reason, flamingos they get tall, they get skinny, they don't get like colorful. And I get it, they're all very slight variations of a similar palette. But so are like peacock. You look at a peacock, one peacock's just the same as another. They're green, blue. It's the same palette is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Flamingos, I think, they have a little more showmanship. And it's the men and the women who both dress up. The ladies don't phone it in like the peahens do. Not to be sexist. I know that everybody's woke, and I'm sure I'm going to have some sort of peahen activist knocking down my door. I know where you can get one like mine, Pete. There's a link in the description. No, you don't need to buy my stuff. But that's another thing I think I want to do. I think let me run this up everybody's flagpole. I think the dinosaur profile went so well and everybody responded to it so much. I could probably nail everybody down to a turtle, but I feel like there's not enough. 1 out of 4 is like, I feel like any hack asshole could be like, well, you're Nike. It's literally a 25% chance. With dinosaurs, it's 1 in 1,000.
Yeah, and I feel like you're really good at that. That would be a cool thing to do at the downtown.
But here's the problem. To profile someone accurately, I need to know them at least on a semi-personal level or have access to information about them to make the profile. I can't just pull them out of thin air.
Have them do a survey.
Yeah, I don't know what I would ask, because most of my they're not predictions. Most of my evaluations are a mix of both physical and psychological traits. Because some people jump off the page. Like, don't get me wrong, it's super easy to, like, once you land in a family of dinosaurs, it's easy to sort of pick out the species for the person.
Sure.
But some people are hard to read as far as family types go. And usually those people don't even turn out to be dinosaurs. I forget. I think it was Cherish who was the Deinosuchus. No. She was the Ceratosaurus. I feel like there was a Deinosuchus. Whatever. We had a pterosaur, obviously. That was an obvious one. That wasn't a hard one to come up with. But most people wear their dinosaur on their sleeve. And that's why I think the turtles thing probably won't work. Because since there's only 4.
Yeah. That's not very personable.
Yeah, I think I personally am more impressed by a larger number to pull from. Like, bullshit all you want. If you're into astrology and all that other stuff, those are always just generic enough to work. Because it's only 12, and so you only ever have to produce, like, let's say you do a weekly, monthly, or daily horoscope. It's just 12. It's just 12. I don't give a shit. There's so few. I could crap out 12, horoscopes in my sleep.
Yeah.
But if you pull from something, that's the thing I know very, very little about a lot, or there are very few subjects I know a lot about, so I'm getting it. So I could peg you as a dinosaur, but I don't know what else I could probably do.
Seagal movies.
Seagal character.
The problem is the Seagal movies are really one note.
That's true.
So it would be hard to be like, you're the one where he shows up for 14 seconds. It's a small pool. Like, everybody would need. I feel like a lot of people would end up being Under Siege 2.
Wait, so going back to the FFOP 5.
Sure.
You said it was a psychological profile. Mm-hmm. So then, is there a conclusion?
Oh yeah, I've definitely concluded some things about you.
Okay.
You're definitely judged on a paper.
Oh yeah, Trung, maybe you didn't realize earlier when I was bitching and complaining about how poor that interview went. those points were not forgotten. As soon as I put my notebook away, you did not just slide out of the shit list, my friend. But I also kind of had you pegged psychologically anyway. Looks like good night, Teresa. Thanks for showing up and watching whatever this was. But what was I saying before that?
I don't know.
The points, his psychological profile.
Oh, right.
There we go.
There's some people where it's a foregone conclusion. I ask these questions because, others should know, but let's be real. I have a tendency to overanalyze. So if you have known me for more than 8 minutes, I've already picked you apart and put you back together. So that's the thing. It's not like a special trick or characteristic. Like if you're the type of person who looks at someone, interacts with someone, can boom, 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 characterize them. I know exactly, I don't think it's a talent or anything. You just sort of, there are people, two types of people in this world, Trung. Two types of people. The type of people who can read others and the type of people who can't. If you can't read someone, you just take everything and everybody at face value. You're one of those sweet, dumb people who I wish I was. And I not to go too off topic again. Back in the day, I had a girlfriend long time ago, Trung. This is so long ago.
Yeah.
She was sweetly ignorant. And that's one of the things, no matter how crazy or zany or terrible everything got, she always had that sweet innocence about her because there wasn't the need to think or analyze or just go deeper than what was given.
Mm-hmm.
And I envy that.
I don't know if you want to, though.
Right, in some regards, because that's the thing. That's what sets them apart from, like, they can walk up to someone and be like, hey, how you going? Talk with someone at a bus stop for 15 minutes. Forget all about it because it was a surface level conversation. Whereas I am constantly, everybody gives away who they are by what they do and what they say. So I can tell a liar, I can tell a weirdo, I can tell all these things because they're always the earmarks. Weirdos do things that are weird. And so when people do weird things, you go, that guy's a weirdo. But then there are the adults like, who don't pay attention to people who are like, I know. And then when I have to go on my big ass I told you so tour, and let's be real, the wheels on that bus are so bald that it's almost not worth anymore, but I still take it out.
Kayla says, my life has felt a lot more focused with a Zen-like qualities since I learned I would be a Dakota Raptor.
Once you figure out who you are and what you are, it's a very centering experience. And that's what I think that the dinosaurs will give you that the Ninja Turtles don't. Mm-hmm. Because when you can identify with a single species, that's something. You're not like one out of every 4 jackasses on the street. You're one out of every few thousand, maybe, or at least the ones that I get to talk to.
That's fine. That's good.
You know what I should also do? This show is so scattershot, guys. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'll start asking at the end of every show, like, do you feel ripped off? Like in the comments, just be like, this wasn't worth my money. Refund or check, please, or whatever.
Yeah. They didn't spend any money.
I know, but still, I tell this to everybody, and I'm going to tell this to you people here in the typing square as well. True, this is also true for you. Your time is not valueless. Like, whatever you're spending your time on, just as a rule of thumb, just to make it easy on yourself. I don't care if you want to up or down the value of your time, but whatever you make at work, whatever your job is, whatever they pay you per hour, just take that for the rest of your life. So if you go out into the wild and you're doing something, would it be worth your time and money to do this thing? Because you have, I don't get people like that. We're like, well, I had nothing to do anyway, yada, yada, yada. That's a cop out. I think your time is still worth something. So I think, even watching this meandering diatribe is worth something. Calories, I don't care. But that's what I'm saying here, Trung, is I want to know, number one, is this worth people showing it? Because like I was saying, a million places to get entertainment now.
Mm-hmm.
This is only one of a million, and probably even more. Like, don't get me wrong. If I were watching, like, let's say tables are reversed, and I'm one of you guys watching me, I'm already gone watching another video essay on Murphy Brown. I'm already like.
People like to hear you complain.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think if people don't want to be here, they wouldn't be here.
And you know what I think gets short shrift too? The art of complaining itself. I think that complaining is a fine art. And connoisseurs of the show will know what I'm talking about, because if you hear someone complain without style, without substance, without elegance, without point, without critique, that is shitty complaining. If you're complaining like, oh, this sucks, and you're not giving it a spin, you're not presenting that complaint in an entertaining package, what I'm saying is, don't let me in with the mope ass complainer. When I complain, it's for a purpose, it's for a reason, and it's hilarious. God damn it! When other people complain, it's a slog, it's a pain in the ass, and you don't want to hear it. But me, you're gripped. You want to hear everything that's going on, because you're like, this is an important thing that's going on because of the context involved. But when you hear like, that's why, I was a gem growing up, because most teenagers, when they complain, are just like low on substance. Everything is just like vapid. There's no, everything sucks, but for no reason. There's always just this sort of malaise or this generic ennui.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, he puts a little flair into it. And in my opinion, not recognized for it enough, I think the art of complaining is an art, and if you're not honing your craft, get out of the industry, because you cheapen it for artists like me. I'm Picasso, goddammit. What you're looking at here is the embodiment of, this is a skill that no one wants to, be proud of unless you're a dick. But here's the thing. Maybe that's why I also get lumped into too, because people who complain are like, I'm a bitch and I don't care who knows that I'm a bitch. No, that's not fun or funny. You're just being a bitch. Like, being abrasive isn't funny. Being a bitch isn't funny. Like, calling yourself a bitch and doing the 2 snaps and a twist head move, that's not funny or charismatic. If you can win me over while being an asshole, that's where we've got something. People don't like me, but they'll tune in to listen to what I have to say because it's compelling. And because I do a great Tom Leykis impersonation. Tom Leykis. Trung, look up Tom Leykis before the next show. I want you and me to talk about him.
Who? Tom what? How do you spell?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-800-TOM. BlowMeUpTom.com. So basically, Trung, I've been over this before, but I'm going to tell you. Tom Leykis was a misogynist back in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
a radio
gross.
program. And gross.
Yeah, I'm looking at his picture right now.
Yeah. So he was this rich guy who would get, money from idiots. Here's the problem that I think he and others like him have done. If you start a character ironically and you're like, this will be hilarious, I'll do it tongue in cheek, like, and his character is this like tight-fisted, philanderous, cheap poonhound who's also kind of gross. Whether that is him or not, it is him now, because his character, he crafted his character, and now everybody who knows of him as this horrible slug, this bread dough ball of a man. And what I'm hoping to do here is have a contrast for me, because I'm sure if your only experience of me is the podcast, you must think, man, this man is a monster. And then you come to the live show and man, you must think, man, this man is a monster, but sometimes he gets tired. So I want people to know there are two sides to me. There's the monstrous side, and there's the monstrous side who gets a little sleepy in the wee hours of the night.
It's like 8:40.
you put in a full day. Here's the thing I'm dreading too. Tell me if you're dreading this too, Trung. As we move ever deeper into fall and winter, the sun will be getting up later, and I believe my ass will get to drag a little more each day. Because today it was just a little darker than normal when I got up, and I immediately was like, "Nope, gonna hate it, gonna hate it."
Yeah, I understand that feeling. Like it's amplified in Rochester, so I know that for like the winter, it sucks.
Yeah, I feel like I've got pre-onset SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And it's not even like it's gonna get cold here.
No,
it'll just be darker longer.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, like, my school was always going better in the fall semester than the spring.
Why is that?
Because when I go from fall semester, like I just started from a 3-month break.
Okay.
Going in, the sun was still setting at like 8:30, 9 p.m. And then by the end of the semester, it was setting at 4:30.
Okay, yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
I get you.
And then the entire spring semester is like that because it snows in Rochester until mid-May.
I don't get why Americans as a whole are doggedly hanging on to the concept of daylight savings time, where that principle is so
fucking annoying.
Like, so it would be like if today we all had to twice a year because fall backward and spring forward. Let's say twice a year for the entire day you had to give up your car to ride a horse. Like, it's so old-timey and pedantic. Why are we jumping back and forth? Like, none of us are farmers.
It makes no sense.
But that's the thing. It makes zero sense. It has zero impact on your life aside from maybe pissing a few people off twice a year. But I don't get the people who will defend it. They say, I don't
get it.
I love springing forward and I love falling back. Why? Kayla's one of these people. I feel like we've had this conversation, Kayla, where you're like, yeah, daylight savings, I'm all right with. And I'm always like, what? Why? Why would when the path of least resistance is doing nothing and continuing life as is, why twice a year basically essentially play a really weak prank on yourself?
Well, there still are farmers.
Right, then let them do it. Like, we're no longer having to. This was daylight savings time was during a time in human history before electricity, where you needed the sun to get your work and shit together. We have electricity now. Like, as soon as Edison was like, "Ding, light bulb," he should have been like, "Guess what? Daylight savings time in the toilet." But it's been 100 years, and we still have people setting their clocks forward and back twice a year. For what, I ask you?
Kayla says, I am all right with it. The warm spring sunrise wakes me early, and spring forward makes the clocks catch up with me, and vice versa with the
time is a human concept. You're going to be woken up by the sun regardless of whether your brain knows it's 5 or 6 p.m., a.m., whatever. Whatever the time is, your body, your circadian rhythm doesn't give a shit about the clock. Your biological processes give no fucks for a Gregorian calendar and or the division of time thereof. I only had to deal with it for like 6 months, so I only had to do it like once. I still pissed off about it. Hence this conversation. I never want to do it again because I showed up for a place early, and that place being work, and that time in my life I hated work, and so grew to hate daylight savings time. Also, jobs have made me hate a lot of things. I used to hate the sunrise because when I was at the assisted living facility for a solid 2 years of my career there, I was on the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift.
Oh yeah,
so I got to sit angrily through a lot of sunrises waiting for people to wake up so I could essentially change 50 adult diapers. So when the omen that the sunrise brings is shit, you learn to hate it. It's like if every time you saw a stack of pancakes, someone zapped you in the genitals with a cattle prod.
Oof.
You would learn to hate pancakes, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! You wouldn't even be able to smell maple syrup. So the AMA went nowhere, which is fine. I feel like everybody knows everything about us, especially you, Trig. You're such an open book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder why you don't know anything about yourself that no one else knows.
Yeah, you're all
Exactly.
maybe not even a book. You're like an open pamphlet. You're like you're like a brochure. Somebody tossed down on a table that fell open. Like I could probably just. I think I've cleaned up the studio, but I used to have your what was it? The thing, Krista, was this big. It was green it's graduation thing.
What?
The what?
So when you graduated college, Troy.
Oh yeah, the gown.
No, not the gown. Why would I keep your gown back here? The fucking announcement that had your name on it.
Oh.
I feel like that might have more mystery in it than you. That's what I'm getting at.
Kale says, I know what you mean, but I'm imagining one resident at the senior home wearing 50 diapers.
You want to hear a story, Caleb?
Uh-oh.
So here's a story. Back in the day, speaking of 50 diapers, we had this guy. He was from Chicago. He had a Chicago accent. He was always scooting around the place in his walker. I am from Chicago. I got to catch the L train. I got to go down into the Windy City, get a cheesesteak and whatnot. And so he would. It was the same play every night, and that was kind of if I had to describe like something relatable, like working in an old folks home, it's like going to the same one-man show every night, except there's 50 of them. They're all in different rooms, and you can't say no to the tickets. So this particular man's one-man show was every night he would get himself all snazzed up, get a sweater vest, get a sport coat. He'd get decked out, golf cap. He'd sit in his little walker and he'd scoot his ass up to the front door there. But the peculiarity of the nighttime was, since he was leaving, he had to bring his stuff with him, and all of his stuff to him were his adult diapers. So he would be this little guy sitting there with this thick Chicago accent, sweater vest, stuffed to the brim with adult diapers. And you'd say, hey, what's going on? What are we doing over here? You going somewhere? He's like, oh yeah, my daughter's coming. They're going to pick me up. We're going to ride the L train down to Chicago, down to the east side, taking a Cubs game. And I say, well, what's up with all the stuff in here? What's with all the adult diapers? And to his credit, he knew exactly what he was doing, because he'd look up me. He'd pull open his sweater vest like he was trying to sell me a bootleg watch on the corner.
Flash you.
No, more wholesome. It was more like trying to sell me stolen goods on a street corner. And they go, oh, that's for the urine. So he knew why he had those things.
Hey, I mean, he had to be prepared.
He knew when he wanted to go somewhere and he had to put urine somewhere. He had the answer in his sweater vest.
Yeah.
So wait, lots of adult diapers. What I'm getting at, tons of banging all the time. Oh my God, old people bang each other so often in old folks' homes. And I've heard so many stories from other places and independent sources that I know that it wasn't just a peculiarity of where I worked.
Mm-hmm. Place I used to work, there's
one
couple.
I've seen more people. I've seen more old people give and receive finger bangings than you probably have even conceived of, let alone live through. I've been witness to people on the receiving and or giving ends of finger bangings in public spaces, around fireplaces and around large screen TVs.
Wait, 80-year-olds still horny?
Oh, they love to bang, Trung. Something about it. Something about an old folks home that just gets them all juiced up. Here's the one story I love. There was a man and a woman at one point that were living apart from each other in basically a co-ed dorm, but they were far apart from each other. They took a liking to each other one day, and it became a sort of folie à deux where they were no longer seniors, singles living in an assisted living facility. They were now a couple vacationing in a hotel. Which as far, as severity of folie à deux, where, it's taking a fun weekend in a hotel to let's kill our family and drink poison Kool-Aid, not a bad one. But when you have, and that's the thing, people would treat their elderly parents like their children. So it would be as if these were teenagers caught banging in the gym. Mm-hmm. These middle-aged people would come in and yell at us about their elderly parents getting some. And what do you say? How do you, Trung, let's say you work in an old folks home and I'm an irate child in my 50s yelling at you, a parent in their 70s and or 80s, banging somebody on the premises. How do you deal with me? Exactly.
Yeah, you can't say anything. There's nothing.
Yeah, because what do you like? I have had to tell like parents, they act like parents, but children of these parents would yell at me and they're like, "How can you let this happen? How can you let my mother sleep with that man? She's an adult. What do you want me to do? Like she's not impaired,
right?
If your elderly mother wants to bang another elderly person and they are,
That's what their stipulation was at my old place. Like as long as they're like mini mental exams, they were fine.
But these children, these overprotective children, expect us and me to like run back into the office where there's like maybe a big panel of buttons, and over every button is a resident's name, and it's like maybe we inject like an electric pill into their neck, and I like every time I see, let's say Chester's hand slipping down the pant of an old lady, I have to run to the office and be like, and he goes, ah, and he falls to the ground like a dead roach. Don't be touching no, that's not how it works. They're still humans and they will bang each other. Because if it's get humans together in a big enough of a group and you will have arguing and you will have bucking.
Yeah.
And we had plenty. Let me tell you that. Boy, oh boy. Ice cream shows would give way to horror shows. Horror shows behind closed doors. We had a lady who she would always come to the for me anyway. I would knock on her door and be like, mail, dinner, pills. She would come to the door and do that thing where she would wrap herself around the door like she was a boozy 1950s desperate housewife trying to get the milkman in, just for a few minutes to take a look at the leaky toilet or whatever. I tell you, there were some times where it was palpable. That's the only thing I can say, because it's like living in a sitcom, except it's a bizarro sitcom. In a sitcom, it'd be two people in their 20s. Guy goes to the door, hot chick at the, in negligee, wraps her ass around the thing. Be like, oh my, you caught me at such an awkward time. Won't you come in? And in reality, it's me at 18 and this woman at 76 who's like, oh, what a fine night to be. And I'm like,
here's your food. Bye.
Here are your prunes. Hey, whoa, some crazy stuff. Maybe I'll do a whole, I could tell you stories of people who I took care of who basically built America. Like that oversexed woman who I was referring to earlier in her skimpy little terry cloth robe, who I think she cut extra short. I have no proof. Her husband was one of the ones who pioneered and engineered the technique that gave us Technicolor in film.
Wow.
I worked for a woman who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I worked for the first certified female surgeon of West Virginia, back when the first female anything was a thing.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was weird, but also people, when you're an asshole in real life, age does not sweeten you. So I dealt with some people. One lady, she was so committed to lying to me that she told me she couldn't breathe. And I was like, how are you talking to me? And she goes, the air is just going in and out of my mouth. You must call someone. I can't breathe. And she's screaming at me at the top of her lungs. She's telling me she can't breathe. She's not even one of the impaired ones. She was just doing it to fuck with me. She's like, nope, it's just going in and out of my mouth. You can't prove otherwise. You need to call an ambulance. And I'm like,
Oy.
Anyway, Anywho, guys, thanks for showing up. Trung, I kept you longer than I said I would, but
too bad.
It's fine.
you can't take the time back, so we can't.
Right.
Damage is done.
I demand a refund now, right now.
So, guys, if you showed up and you listened, or if you just turned it on and fell asleep, I appreciate it because, at least you were there awake long enough to hit start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm ever going to plug ever again is the Be Like Popeye merch. If you go to our store, there's a link in the description. If you go to our store and get any of the Be Like Popeye logos, all of that profit, all of that revenue goes to Popeye for his work with animal rescues. And if he's still with this particular animal, to Harlow. So every piece of merch you buy in the store that's related to Popeye goes to Popeye and Harlow. And speaking of, I just got the audio for that, so we're gonna see. I'm hopefully going to release some sweet live versions of the songs in a better quality. So stay updated on the Facebook because I will be there. So yeah, Trung, thanks for showing up and filling in.
Yeah.
FFOP 5 could have gone better, but we're trying to move ahead.
There was one question out of 5, all right?
I can't say that I will not hold this against you for the rest of our lives because I told you before we recorded that this was very important, and yet you still went out of your way to do it badly. Anyway.
The Seagal one right, though.
You didn't get the Seagal one right. So, but that was a layup. The other 4 were really pivotal.
Yeah.
So, guys, thanks, everybody. Special thanks to Kayla for being a moderator and keeping the rowdies in line.
Mm-hmm.
So until 2 days from now, when we do this all again with James Bond trivia, I will see you then. And, of course, until then, be like Popeye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.